Ryan Frazier joins us now for a one-on-one interview here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Ryan is co-founder and CEO of Arrived, a marketplace for anyone to buy and sell shares of real estate starting from, if I'm not mistaken, $100?
That's right.
There we go. Thanks for being here. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Talk to me first and foremost, a bit more of an introduction to your work at Arrived, and what does that actually look like for a low-lift entry point for people?
Yeah. Well, Arrived is really the easiest way for anyone to buy in and start to participate in real estate investing and real estate ownership. And really, our mission is to finally bring real estate investing online. I think it's surprising just with such a massive asset class and how important of a part it is of all of our daily lives, just how complex it is to actually participate in the market. And so we're really trying to change that.
What was missing in the marketplace? If you go back to the genesis, which I think is around 2019, what did you see or not see that you felt like you uniquely could address?
Yeah, I think more than anything, we see three big barriers that often prevent people from participating in the real estate market. It's either capital, these large upfront down payments, often 6 figures to buy into real estate, and then the time and expertise required once you do decide to invest. And so with Arrive, we really try to remove those barriers where anyone can participate, starting with just $100. It's the same shopping experience of, let's say, browsing Zillow, but with kind of an Amazon buy now button where you can buy shares of any of the properties that you see.
Yeah, so talk to me a bit more about the user experience. What does the user actually experience him or herself when engaging with the platform for the first time?
Yeah, so investors can browse individual properties that our team has curated and made available on the platform. They can buy shares of any of the properties they see, and they can really choose and decide which properties that they want to be part of their portfolio. And I think that's what's very unique versus, let's say, investing in a real estate index fund or a public REIT, where we're sort of buying into a blind pool of real estate assets. With Arrive, you get to hand curate and pick and choose which properties, which area of the market, maybe which cities really resonate with you, and build your portfolio that way.
Are there particular cities, regions geographically across the US you're seeing particular interest in, more so than maybe the average marketplace right now?
Yeah, so we have properties across 65 cities today that investors can invest into. And the types of things that get our team excited when we're looking at a new market to add to the platform is a mix of, population growth and population density. So are there more people moving to the region? And then what's the story on supply? Is there enough housing supply to meet the needs of this growing population? Or maybe are there things like zoning requirements or fundamental issues where there's just not enough land to meet those needs? And oftentimes that, bodes well for long-term real estate prices and for demand for real estate. So it's sort of looking at what's the demand versus supply going to be, and then, investing in those markets.
You're also describing a lot of the pressure points that people right now say is a big part of the challenge, the main headwind itself of the US housing market. Yeah, there may be discrepancies kind of state to state or city to city. On the backdrop of where we are for housing right now, new proposals being put forth by the Trump administration, et cetera, does this strengthen your thesis for the type of product that you offer?
Yeah, I think as property values have gone up, that first rung to buy into your first property just gets higher and higher. And that's where a platform like Arrive can really help, where we take a single property, break it into shares where people can choose, do they want to invest $100, $10,000, $100,000, and have the opportunity to spread it out. And I think what that starts to do is it lowers the entry point where people can start investing. They can actually dollar cost average into the real estate market over time, and they can sort of spread their bets. And so, we really think that we have an awesome role to play in helping more people access real estate investing.
How do you measure success when you look at your underlying metrics? Is it just as simple as the number of users you have actively engaged, the asset under management? Does it rise and fall with the broader strength of the housing market?
Yeah, I think overall, just in terms of the awareness of the platform, I think the response has been pretty incredible. We've had over 850,000 people sign up. They've invested over $300 million into the platform across 500 assets. And I think, really a great start at bringing real estate investing online. And I think also highlighting just how many people this really resonates with.
What is the feedback that those users, those individuals give you, either about the core products that you offer or interest to maybe branch out into similar, more adjacent products that aren't maybe core to how you started the company?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the sort of magical moments, especially if you've actually bought real estate before, is just how easy of a process it is to buy in. Instead of a months-long process where you're going through title and escrow, it's a few clicks, similar to buying shares of, your favorite public company's stock. And so I think, the ability to sign up for a platform like Arrived, make your first real estate investment in under 5 minutes, I think is a pretty magical experience when people have experienced the traditional real estate investing process.
We're on the backdrop of a pretty fascinating, I would argue, inflection point for the broader markets, where yes, on the one hand, we do have an ease of borrowing rates as we expect the Fed and other central banks around the world to continue to cut, but it's also on the backdrop of an average US consumer right now who is reporting more strain than we have seen in recent years. How do those macroeconomic storylines play a role that is kind of crucial to the work that you do?
Yeah, we're always thinking about the macro environment and the trend on interest rates and sort of easing monetary policy is definitely something that we follow closely. But the thing that I'll acknowledge is really that real estate in general across this country is a lot of individual markets experiencing very individual dynamics in that local city, depending on the demand and supply for housing, especially within the residential market where we primarily play today. And so, the microeconomics in each of those cities really play a big role too.
Your expectations for 2026, it could be for the bigger picture housing market, but more specifically, how you feel Arrived is uniquely situated to address whatever happens for the state of U.S. housing starting next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the thing that we really launched this year that I think has been really a big step change in the Arrive platform is launching our secondary trading marketplace, where up until this point, investors on the platform could just buy into individual properties and then hold for the long term until we decide to sell that property. Now, with the SEC or with the secondary trading marketplace and getting qualified through the SEC, investors on the platform can buy and sell shares of individual properties. And so they actually can access now liquidity without going through a traditional real estate agent process or selling a home. And I think that added liquidity is what's going to, really unlock even more demand for accessing real estate, where now you can commit to the asset class. You don't have to be locked up for 5, 10 years or more. And you just have greater flexibility in investing.
Brian Frazier, CEO and co-founder at Arrive. Congratulations on all the success of the platform you've had so far. Best of luck for 2026 and beyond. Thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks for having me.